Level 1 leash training. Before we start addressing our dog's behavior on a leash, we need to understand how to communicate with our dog in a way that is not going to overly stress them out or make them predict a negative outcome with engaging with me. A dog is probably pulling on the leash because they are not paying attention to me. They're in their own little world, and I'm just attached at the end, going along with them. I need to make it his job to pay attention to me and be aware of me. Now, I have a plastic prong collar on him, and if I was to use this to yank him around or punish him for pulling on the leash, then he would have a negative association with the tool. Every time he felt the tool, he would want to not engage with me, which is the opposite of what I want for him. So I'm not trying to control my dog with these. I'm trying to communicate with him in a way that he's going to predict as positive so that I can have him choose to do what I want him to do. If he does not have the opportunity to make the choice himself, then I will always have to control him. And I will not have a trained dog. I will have a dog that I need to constantly control. I need to introduce this collar to him in a way that is not stressful, is very clear, and that he does not associate in a negative way. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to, he's not paying attention, I'm going to stop, he's going to feel it, and I'm going to turn around. And now we're going the opposite direction. He doesn't think that he did anything wrong by feeling the end of the leash. He's not stressed out by it. He just simply got to the end because he wasn't paying attention. And now we're going the opposite direction. Now, I don't necessarily want to do it like those last two. I actually want him to turn on a dime and have to flip over in a straight line. So he's going to stop, boom, and he flipped over. Hopefully you got that. Essentially turning on a dime. That is going to be the most clear way to communicate with him that he felt that because he wasn't paying attention to me, and he had to make a much more drastic adjustment. If I'm like slingshotting my dog where they're doing this sort of motion, that's not going to be clear. They're not going to get it. You're going to be kind of stuck there giving unclear information and not be able to move on to step 2, step 3. If he notice he's looking to me, he's walking much closer to me off of just a few change in directions, that's what's going to happen with, consistent, clear communication. He feels the leash. He's going to turn around. I'm going to click when he's in that heel position and give him a treat. That's going to motivate him to be in this position of his own free will. If he starts moving away and everything, that's his choice. He can do that. We'll start talking about in other ways how to, keep our dog and when to keep our dog in that passive heel. But right now, we're just motivating him to be a little bit closer to me and walk on the leash a little bit nicer. If he's not paying attention, then I'll stop. He'll hit the end of the leash. He'll turn on a dime, and we're going to start walking the other direction. That's all we need to do for this first step. Now, you notice he's always turning and coming to my right side. There's a reason for that. I want him to always be on my right side so I don't have to do this tango thing. I always have control of the leash. We got 2 other dogs over here walking. He's interested. Good boy. Good boy. Yeah. So if he's in front of me, I can have him go left, right. He can go out to my other side. But if he's behind me, he always has to come up on the right side. And the reason for that is I always want control of the leash. I don't want to have to do this sort of stuff and him pull off the leash. Very good boy. He's giving me his attention, eye contact, staying on the correct side. So he's earning a treat. Good job, baby boy. He's not paying attention. I'll stop. He'll hit the leash. He'll turn around. Now we're walking the other direction. I can't be so stuck on the route that I'm going with a dog that still pulls on the leash. I need to make sure that I am communicating with him properly before I start going on adventures and have a specific destination for where we're going. Very good boy. Now, when we change directions, in order to keep him on that side, I need to do what's called a samurai pull. And this has more uses later, but right now we're going to introduce it with just teaching him to be on my right side when he comes up from behind. So I'm going to have the leash. I'm going to pin it to my hip on the same side that he is. I'm going to have my other hand pinned, and I'm going to pull it out like it's a sword, and I'm a samurai. So he gets to the end, pin, and I'm going to pull. And then this hand's job is to just grab. If he's trying to go to the other side of me, is just to give him a little bit of leash pops, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and motivate him to only come up on the correct side. Once your dog understands that they're only allowed to come up on one side and they accept it, you're just not going to have any issues. They're always going to come up on that side. It's very natural. It's very normal for them. Good boy. Good boy. Now, the other thing that we want to introduce with the change directions on level 1 is we want to teach an off, which means stop paying attention to whatever you're paying attention to. I want my dog to be distracted by this fern or whatever smell that they're smelling so that I can tackle and teach them to move away from that smell rather than needing to teach them to leave dogs alone or whatever behavioral issue they might be over threshold for. It's not my job at this level to teach them how to off from big important things. It's my job to teach them to off from little things that don't matter, like smells that they're going to be interested in for a few seconds and then move on. Off. And then I mark. You know, it's like, well, he was kind of move away anyway. Yeah, that's the point. We want to get those freebies so that I say a word, he listens, he gets rewarded, and now that's an unstressful way to learn a new command passively. He's not paying attention to me. He's on a smell, so I'm going to stop, change directions, click when he's in a heel position. I clicked so I can take a few seconds to get my treat because he knows why he's getting that treat. And now we're moving on. He's at a passive walk. He's able to do what he wants. Hope he's not. Yep. Oh, he is paying attention. So he saw that I was turning around. We want that behavior. So we're going to reward him for it. And now I want him to find smells, be distracted, so I can get 50 reps of him offing things that are low value that he was going to move on from anyway with enough time. And when I find those, I'm going to off, give him a leash pop, which a leash pop is simply just, we'll see if we can get him to stop. A leash pop is, goodbye, off. Good job, good job. It's not powerful enough to get a close-up on his collar on this side. So a leash pop is not powerful enough to move him, but it is very clear communication. So that would be a leash pop. He didn't get moved by it. Good job, good job. He didn't get moved by it, but he was aware. He did feel the sensation on his neck. So he was understanding that it was some form of physical communication to him. And then it's my job to let him know what that communication is. He's smelling something. I want him to leave that thing alone. Good boy, good boy. I'm going to mark and reward when my dog goes to the bathroom because I like when they go to the bathroom outside. Hope he's not paying attention. Boop, he hits the end. He didn't think that feeling was negative in any way because he was like, oh, I know what happens. I come back to heel and I get a treat for it. That wasn't stressful for him. He was excited to do it. And it's not motivating him to get to the end of the leash. He's just a dog that walks a little bit faster than me, that's interested in the environment, and he's not stressed out by or fearful of any consequences. Off. Little pop. Now he's moving away. Great job, baby boy. I mark when he's in that heel position passively. He gets a treat. He's going to stay and hang out there a little bit more often, but he doesn't have to because the purpose of this walk is not to be in a perfect heel. The purpose of this walk is for him to be enriched by his environment, to smell things, to move on. If I want him to stop paying attention to the environment, I simply off. Good job. Oh, good job, baby boy. Okay. But for level 1, all we're focused on is if my dog gets to the end of the leash, awesome, change directions. I want him to turn on a dime, not swoop. And now I'm going to samurai pull to make sure that he stays on the right side, doesn't come up my left side. The reason for that is if I'm walking on the road and I'm passing someone, I want to make sure that at the very least it's my body in between two dogs. If their dog is a left side dog, my dog's a right side dog, no matter what scenario goes, my body will be in between if we, listen to the rules of the road. If we have two right side dogs, then we're not going to have any issues. It's two humans. Good job. He feels the leash. He knows that means stop and check in with me. He'll probably get a reward if he stays in heel long enough. That's what we want from our dogs in this initial introducing the language of physical communication to our dogs. I don't want him to be fearful and being punished with these tools. I want him to understand what the structure is for the environment that he's in, which is he needs this to be loose. And if he feels the leash, then he probably needs to stop what he's doing, check in with me, and when in doubt, come into a heel-like position because that's what gets him rewards. Before you move on to level 2, physical communication or leash skills, you need to put at least 45 minutes in on getting 50 plus reps of an off and changing directions whenever your dog's not paying attention. This is to ensure that you're not going to move on too quickly and start having a negative association with your tools, with the collar that he's feeling. Every time Louie here feels the collar, it shouldn't be, oh no, I'm bad. Oh, good boy. Good boy. It shouldn't be, oh no, I'm bad, or I'm fearful of what the consequences may come. I don't want him to predict something negative from the sensation of physical communication. I want him to predict positive. I want him to go, oh, that means that I wasn't paying attention. I need to pay attention to dad. I need to turn around. I need to get to a heel position as soon as possible because he's going to reward me and tell me what a good boy he is for doing that. Good boy. And now, once he starts preemptively doing it before he gets to the end of the leash, that tells me that he understands the rules of his environment and that he knows that his job is to pay attention to me, not my job is to pay attention to him.